In our first story, the government is again being urged to take drastic steps, including reshuffling its appointees to cut costs and restore confidence in the distressed economy. The finance minister continues to be identified as one person who must exit office. A minimum of 14 CDs are needed to get $1, and experts fear the situation could worsen this week. There's more in the following reports.
We are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not.
Mr. Foriata has been under pressure since government opted for an IMF program. He, however, continues to enjoy support from President Akufo-Addo.
I came to office in 2017 under an IMF program, which Emmanuel Biden said, stringent program. This same man was able to manage the affairs of our economy in such a way, sir. The first 4 years of my first term, we were one of the fastest growing economies in the world, an average growth rate of 7% a year from the beginnings of an IMF program.
Economist Professor Godfred Bokpin ever say he lacks the capacity to continue to lead the negotiations with the IMF.
Anytime we are outside an IMF program, the fund, the development partners, they are a bit lenient with their comments, more diplomatic. But when you come under a program, you've lost your bargaining power. So you see how they are coming hard at us now. They are asking you to prove this.
Show proof, yeah.
So last year you were not under any program, so they could understand your assumptions. You can explain that, oh, how about this debt? Oh, you know, this is ring fence, this is that, this is this is that. But right now, they are saying everything must come on board. So especially when you check in such a vulnerable state, you don't have, you can't negotiate from a position of strength. We shouldn't have gotten ourselves in this place. To come out of this, as I said, what the market is looking for is that bold decision from the government that says that, look, and it may have to be a bit radical, which means that you are sacrificing your interest and the interest of your inner core and your political party for the common good. Other than that, if you tell me that these people have performed excellently, then probably it will be for reasons not for the common good.
A view shared by some men of the pulpit.
But wrong is wrong. When you are wrong, I need to look in your eyes and tell you, you are wrong. That is what is killing this nation. This is the time, Your Excellency, to make changes. And that changes must be to the honor and glory of God. Our finance minister, who even though is a Christian, have failed miserably. And I am telling Your Excellency, with all due respect, this is the time to make drastic changes. We cannot sit here when $1 is equal to 12 CDs. 12 CDs!
Milk, which was 2 Ghana cedis, now 8, 7. How would a mother buy milk and put in a tea or porridge for her children? In less than 24 hours, our cedi had depreciated against the dollar from 1390 to 15,000. 15. It's now 16. Recently, the vice president arrested a cedi and locked it. Is it the dollar or the cedi? The dollar. The dollar, and locked the dollar up. I hear the dollar has broken jail.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo is encouraging the citizenry to have faith in him in these trying economic times. The president was speaking at the occasion of inauguration of the Chebi Anglican Archdeaconry in the Eastern region. The Ochiehene Osajafo Amwatia Afori Panin, who also was in attendance, said every successor who can't protect the heritage of his predecessor is an irresponsible successor.
President Akufo-Addo, who attended the event as part of his 3-day weekend visit to the Eastern region, recognized the current state of the economy and admitted Ghana is in difficult times. He encouraged Ghanaians to believe in him with the ultimate goal of changing the narrative.
Bishop Nancy, I said, Papa. The fan says, some okay, no shame and crying. Some mammy him, because when you did when Yakupo move. No, how Ghana for a firm will say, I can't now. When Yakupo ben mammy quine, me a dear firm, and my Ghana. The 82, the mestre, Munya Gigi will be moved. Munya Gigi will be moved. Yabe, the firm, this too shall pass. So when the other man require my kind of brought from me, this too shall pass.
The Bishop of Kufridya Diocese of the Anglican Church, Right Reverend Felix Odei, advised Akufo-Addo to continue to strengthen his faith in God.
Nyame Oma Omampanyin na boafo akwankyere na omfansesa niema mfama yen eno ne nia esese Ghanafoɔ ye nyinara ye se ye Kristofo na ye gidefo dia yen kotodwanim na yen sumfre Awurade na yen se Awurade se Oma Omampanyin akwankyere na onsesa niema mfama yen Omampanyin misrawo have a direct connection with your God. Have a direct connection.
The Ochihini is very disappointed over the inability of a sovereign state like Ghana to protect its natural resources and preserve the environment for generations unborn. Osagyefo Amoito Fripenyi advised government to rather focus on prosecuting the bigwigs behind the devastation of the environment in search of gold.
Now, Dubai National House, Obidi excavator a year den Tiwa forest. What is an excavator doing at Tiwa? A Tiwa was the excavator come up with him. You talk for you see that how the excavator called a Tiwa forest. No cross woman Kualana has the only scan on their excavator. They have no money. And in Penina, takes away an own yai. Own yai. If the Ghana no say what Ghana, who sign the Japadi, open here. You did your party job. Who buy ya, who are 1 year Bianca home, never 2 years no send, what penny money.
Well, that's just by the way, but let's stay on the economic crisis and particularly with depreciation of the Ghana cedi. Is it deliberate on part of government not to control the fall of the cedi? And to what end? And why is government not stepping in at all? Joining me via phone with more is a lecturer in banking, Dr. John Baden with more. Doc, good morning and thank you so much for your time.
Good morning.
Now, I'm sure you've heard my quiz, right? Is it, the free fall of the cedi, is it a deliberate strategy by government to achieve something?
Well, I can't say that for a fact, but that can be a possibility.
Okay, so that can be a possibility because to what end? So what are they trying to achieve?
Well, we know that sometimes the government let the cedi tanks or the cedi depreciate so that they realize more money at the port.
Okay.
Especially when their kitty is dry, when they need more money or when they are in distress. They can let the cedi tank. Because see, if the cedi depreciates, there's always a marginal increment in duties. I mean, the revenues increase on a daily or even, by the hour. As anytime the rate changes, the next containers or next goods that must be cleared attracts a new value. And then they are realizing monies against a fixed budget.
Okay.
So in no time, then they would have probably had the money to take care of their fixed budget. The budget is fixed, but the revenue becomes variable. It changes. there's an incremental change in the revenues at point.
Okay, so how long will this crisis last? If we're looking
my
at
lady, I can't tell you.
Okay.
I don't know. I hope it does, because I mean we are on the brink, and if it continues, I'm afraid. I mean, all the social pathologies we will see.
Okay, so now before I let you go, what can governments do to solve this problem? Because I mean, I may not carry dollars every day, but when I go to the markets, things are increasing. Transport fares are increasing. So many things are increasing because of the rate of the dollar. What can government do to make sure that its citizens are not suffering as much?
It's not just the prices are increasing. People's income remains unchanged.
Yeah.
So then most households will be in disequilibrium.
Mm-hmm.
And when most households are in disequilibrium, I mean, the things fall apart.
Yeah.
Nothing can happen. Nothing will work in the system anymore.
Yeah.
It's a national security concern, and well, I mean, it is an emergency, and something will have to be done quickest and the soonest.
But what is that something that can be done? So that's my question: is that what can be done?
Well, it is the manager of the currency. I mean, I have in the past said that the central bank is not conducting monetary policy according to law, and that is how come we are in this situation.
Okay.
So it's I don't know if the central bank will go according to law. They can reverse things.
Oh, okay. Well, Doc.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of conversation going on with the black market and how unregulated it is. Should we
how
unregulated it is?
Unregulated?
Yes. So that's a conversation that's happening. So should we see a clampdown on these black markets?
Well, that is a corollary matter. I mean, that is secondary. That is secondary. The primarily something else must be done, and it's up to the city manager. So as it is, I mean, it's the city manager who has failed us.
Okay, so let's talk about pegging the CD at like a certain level.
What? I didn't hear you.
So pegging the CD at a certain level.
Okay.
Yeah. What about that? Would that be a solution?
Well, if that is what it takes, so be it.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, see, the law, our constitution says that the Bank of Ghana shall give us a stable currency.
Yeah.
So what is happening? Looking at the CD's performance, or how the CD is depreciating. Does the Bank of Ghana do they call this phenomenon? Do they call it stable? It's a clear no.
Yeah.
So here they are lawless.
Yeah.
And they are out of line, and they have let us down. So they must do what it takes, to give the city the constitutional meaning that it deserves.
Yeah. So, Doc, we've spoken about the citizens, and you said that, I mean, salaries are still at the same place, so that means households will suffer. We've spoken about market prices, but now let's talk about the banking industry and how this will affect them.
Well, that can affect banks, because banks thrive in a prosperous environment, or in a prosperous economic environment.
Yeah.
So when the environment is distressed, banks are likely to also go under, because there will be a lot of loan losses, and they can't deposit. I mean, now, I don't remember the last time I even went to save in the bank.
Yeah.
A lot of people can save.
Yeah.
And banks need, our deposits so that they can transform the deposits into, profitable ventures or assets. Are you with me?
Yeah. Now,
so if this situation is not good for the banks, I'm afraid.
All right. Well, will you be able to give us a forecast? Because, I mean, with last week, we started the week with 11 CDs, and then it rose to 12, 13, 14. We're at, I think, 15, if I'm not mistaken, right now. Can you give us a forecast of this week?
Oh, my lady, that I don't think I can.
That you don't think you can?
But what it is, the present exchange rate, it is, for me, it is suicidal. And it's embarrassing. It means that someone is not doing his or her job well.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand. Because if we are conscientious and if we understand, you know, the management of currencies, we shouldn't be where we are.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much for your time. Dr. John Baden is a banking lecturer, and he says that the current state of the economy is suicidal and something needs to be done about it immediately. We also know that the Information Ministry will be addressing the country and the press in regards to the current economic issues that we're facing. So we hope that from that engagement, we will get something that will encourage the citizens. Well, let's do other stories now, because two JoyNews journalists have emerged winners at the West African Media Excellence Conference and Awards, WAMECA. The two, Kwetenate and Seth Kwame Boateng, jointly won the investigative reporting category. There's more in the following News Desk report.
The two-day event was hosted in Accra, Ghana, with participants from all over West Africa. The award scheme covers about 16 categories. Ghana was well represented with 5 finalists, 3 of which work with JoyNews. For the Telecoms and ICT reporting category, Kwesi Deborah was a finalist, but Amos Abba from Nigeria won. Investigative journalist Kwetenate won the investigative reporting category with his undercover piece titled Busted Gold Smugglers. He won jointly with Seth Kwame Boateng, both of the Joy Newsroom. And for the ultimate category, the West African Journalist of the Year, of which both Kwetenate and Seth Kwame Boateng were finalists, Nigeria's Tessie Gomu won with her story on a Chinese recycling company polluting the Ogun community.
A 26-year-old woman has died in what neighbors say was the result of her toilet sinking into a pit dug under her house by illegal miners at Odomwase in the Ashanti Achim Central Municipality. The body of Gifty Manka was retrieved with an excavator earlier Sunday, sparking fears about the possible collapse of residential facilities in town due to illegal mining. The incident reveals widespread mining within residential facilities at Odomwase and the associated threats of life. Lava FM's Rasta Sasari Donko was at the scene and now reports.
This amateur video shows final moments when an excavator dug out the remains of Gifty Manka, 26, who close friends say was pregnant. Her death tells a tragic tale of the dangerous impact of mining in residential facilities at Odomwase in the Asante Achim Central Municipality. So imagine waking up in the morning and deciding to visit the nature's call. What is supposed to be a natural activity turns out to be your death. This is what happened here today at Odomwase in the Asante Achim Central Municipality. The lady in question, a young woman who lives in this house, was attending to nature's call. The entire structure in which she was doing her business collapsed in a heap, went down into what is supposed to be a mining pit. Now, if you look around this area, there are lots of these pits within these houses at Odomwase actively mining. And this is what caused the death of a lady here. Where I'm standing right now, just close to me, inside here, you could see another pit inside this house, and it goes deep down. And that is what the indigents here, this is how they do They are illegal mining.
The entire residential toilet sank into the deep pit beneath the building, as recounted by a resident.
Yeah, it's as a result of the galamsey. It's not about the toilet. And we have to speak the truth. And we need to stop it. And we have to come together as a nation to stop this galamsey madness. But we cannot allow this galamsey to go on in our houses. You know this lady who died this morning, she's not beneficiary of the mining, but she has died this morning because of somebody being a beneficiary of that mining.
The sprawling Odumase Apibose community is dotted with underground pits dug in homes, linking each other in what could be described as a hanging town. The practice of mining inside houses, which dates years back, is getting worse. The impact of continuous digging beneath houses could be seen in the huge cracks and the sinking earth around buildings in the town. To the ordinary eye, this is a normal residential compound house. But inside it, we found deep pits laced with wooden steps that go several meters down. We were shown a number of such houses at Odumase. Residents are angry.
Information. We feel when I say developing phobia day. At the toilet to was saying, "Oh, this is say Kronankasa." At the penny forces and I Jumano, a few met me house to house. I move to be, I could mention. A few Brono was so I went one and yes, canny. God will must send one. Almost can crack a day around because but some fear 2030 yet to go home because he can't ask me a tissue.
Police sources say they've heard of the pits and mining in residential facilities, but cannot barge into private homes without a warrant.
This you see here, this gate, does not lead to any storeroom in any building. This, if you peep through, leads to an illegal mining site under this building. There is a pit in here, barricaded with wood, which goes deep down. And that's the kind of illegal mining people here do at Odumase in the Asante Achim Central District. Many of these houses here have pits similar to this one in there. So when people go into their houses, they are not going to sleep, they are going in there to mine illegally. And all these houses are at risk of collapse. Reporting for JoyNews, Erastus Asaredonko, Odumase, Asante Achim Central Municipality.
Our campaign still continues. #No to Galamsey, and we will be talking to authorities about this particular matter. But away from that, poor parental control and poverty have been identified as key factors accounting for Ghana's increasing cases of teenage pregnancy and child marriage. The challenges are impeding the ability of the girl child to attain her full potential, largely in formal education. To end the problem, government introduced a 5-year strategic plan to retain the girl child in school with or without pregnancy. The journey has, however, not been easy for girls in such situations. In the second part of a JoyNews latest hotline documentary dubbed Girls, School, Pregnancy, we'll hear stories of some of these adolescents and actors in the education space on interventions being deployed to make life easy in school for them. Here
discrimination, exclusion, and inaccessible or low-quality support and services. That's according to Anne-Claire Dufay, UNICEF representative in Ghana.
All the girls who move to this side.
A common feature associated with teenage pregnancy in Avedakpa, for instance, is cohabitation. A fair number of the girls who are pregnant or adolescent mothers are cohabiting with their partners against the will of their parents. Dorcas's mother stated that her daughter had recently left home to live with Onassis. She's tried everything to persuade her to return home, but she's been unsuccessful.
Dorcas Avinye, Anya David Bona, Nuida, Abunama, Awanang Shamwa Pama, Agbona, Varo Garama Koiko, Vajagla. Amawaika Jila or the shade. Intati the shade Cavino, Wakuring, Ato Popo Clavia, Mawevu, Avinarokova, Potok Potiarokova, Vulanchini.
Teachers, we need your girl child may be one, but yes, we need she may be one. Pilots, we need she may be one. Oh yes, dance for their talent. Send them to school.
When you are growing, your hormones will start developing, and at a certain stage, you have feelings, okay? And you will be attracted to the opposite sex. It is normal feeling. If you don't have that feeling, it means you are not a human being. That feeling will come. But when that feeling comes, it doesn't mean go and have sex. Do you understand me? Animals also have the same feeling. And they are not human beings, so they don't have the self-control that you and I will have. And so at this stage, if you do not control your feeling, it may end you in trouble. Now, when it comes to sex, there is also a law or laws concerning sex. So as a young person, you must know that although your body belongs to you, when and how you have sex is regulated by law.
The director of the Volta Regional Department of Gender, Dai Wilkpe, in partnership with the Girl Child Education Unit of the GES, are holding mentoring sessions for teenagers at the Avedakpa DAGHS. This program is put together with girls like Dorcas and her mates in mind. Dorcas goes to school here. Today, however, she's absent from among her mates because she's at the market assisting her mother in making ends meet. She's undoubtedly missing out on all this informative and constructive session. The same is true of regular school hours. While her colleagues are in class, she's preoccupied with wifely and motherly responsibilities. By the time she's through with all of that, the day is past and there'll be no school.
That documentary is tonight at 8:30 p.m. on the JoyNews channel, also on our YouTube page, JoyNews on TV. Now, started from the bottom, but now they're here at the grand finale of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Although Disco is the reigning Central Region champion, it was the underdog prior to its semi-final contest after winning with the lowest score of 31 to qualify for the penultimate stage of the competition. Adisco beat less fancied side Assin State College by just 2 points. The opponent, St. Augustine's College, came to the contest as the highest scoring school at the quarter-final stage. Opoku School also came with the talismanic super sub capable of changing the direction of the quiz in the last 2 rounds. But all of that did not matter as Adisco triumphed with a 12-point gap to make it to the finals. Maxwell Agoba captured the excitement after Adisco, Prempeh College and Presec Legon won their contests.
Yes, play up Santa Clausians. Play up and play the game. Give nothing but your best and never think of rest. Play up for the school's great name, and that is what the contestants from Adisco College did this evening right here on stage. At a point when many thought that they were the underdogs in this contest against Asante regional champions, Opoku School, and then St. Augustine's College. They qualified from the quarterfinals with the highest point so far at the quarterfinals, 67 points. Many thought that with Adisco College low scores in their previous contest, they were the underdogs, but no, they played up and now they are the winners. The gentlemen are very excited. Let's speak to them. At this other college, I should say, they know how to get to the grand finale of the National Science and Maths Quiz. In the years 2015 to 2018, they were in the grand finale 4 consecutive times, and they won in
The 2022 National Science and Maths Quiz is produced by Primetime Limited and sponsored by the Ghana Education Service in partnership with APSA Ghana and also supported by GOIL, Prudential Life Insurance and Airtel Tigo. The broadcast of the National Science and Maths Quiz on JoyNews is supported by Virtual InfoSec Africa, Virtual Security Africa, Vitamilk, Cowbell, Alumni by Enterprise Life, Fatex Toilet Roll, ACE Medical Insurance, Azar Group, Kings Group Limited, Family Health Medical School, the Barstow School, DBS, Koba, Z&Z, Smarts App, NASCO, and Lumi Trust from Pharma Trust. You're still watching Joy News Desk. Up next is business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Ghana Tourism Authority says the provision of accurate data in the tourism sector has the potential to attract investors to help the growth of the industry. According to Deputy Chief Executive Officer in charge of operations, Eko Samson, enforcing the new regulations would also safeguard the safety of revelers. He made the remarks at an orientation and training workshop for the implementation of the new tourism site regulations for stakeholders in Sunyane. Precious Semevo has more.
Implementation of the new tourism site regulations LI 2393 is to help improve the standards at the various tourist sites. This includes the collection of data, access to road security and well-being of visitors, among others. At a day's forum in Sunyane to orient stakeholders in the Bono East and Ahafo regions, the Ghana Tourism Authority said the new regulations have categorized sites with provisions intended to check the activities of operators. Joseph Apieje is the regional director.
Because it is not developed and most of them too are also not manned by those with expertise, that's why we've put together this workshop to expose them, brainstorm them, and give them requisite knowledge so that the new paradigm shift that we require from them, the new ways of managing the attraction sites, they can adjust easily.
Communications consultant, Ghana Tourism Development Project, Zakaria Tanko Musa, said things must be done differently for the sector to challenge the traditional source of income.
You cannot have a sector that wants to challenge the traditional source of income. You can't have them just operating the way they have to operate. And if we want to compete And we have a comparative advantage in the sub-region when it comes to tourism, arts, and culture. But the only way we can compete favorably is to make sure we are positioning ourselves in a way that meets international standards. And one of the ways of doing that is to have some sort of regulation to regulate us.
The Deputy Chief Executive Officer in charge of operations at GTA, Eko Simpson, indicated that the authority is determined to enforce the new regulations in the interest of the growth of the sector and safeguard the safety of revelers. He also said accurate provision of data on tourist sites could help investors in decision-making.
What we are saying is that without the necessary data on arrival, how many people visited maybe Kintampo, it helps you to even know how well they are performing. And then also for decision-making, in terms of performance, it will also help you to, for investors. If investors want to come in and invest and the figures are very low, then they would like to see whether they have to put their money there or not. So it is important for us to have data. Data will help us to know whether the country is doing well in terms of domestic tourism arrival, even international tourist arrival. It will also help us to measure our performance as far as the tourist sites are concerned.
The stakeholders like the GTA appealed for private sector investment in the tourist site and develop new ones to boost the revenue generated. Precious Semevo, Joy News.
Well, in other news, the Cybersecurity Authority, as part of moves to sensitize the public on the new cybersecurity regulations, has begun an engagement with civil society organizations in the country. The aim of the forum is to get the input of the CSOs to the regulation before it becomes or comes into force in January next year. Here's more in this report.
The Cybersecurity Authority has issued a notice to begin licensing professionals and firms that want to be engaged in the cyberspace from January 2023. According to the authority, this has become imperative due to the growing concern of attacks on the continent and the need for Ghana to have a regulation governing the industry. As part of the processes for the regulation, the authority is engaging stakeholders, including the civil society organizations, for their input before going ahead with the regulation. After addressing the CSOs in the forum, Deputy Minister for Communications and Digitalization Ama Puma Boateng said the move is critical to safeguarding the country's cyberspace.
As part of Cybersecurity Authority's mandate, we have to make sure that every digital citizen is safe online. So you would have to work from school kids, whether it's a farmer, it's a corporate person, it's government, it's civil service, it's public service, businesses, e-commerce. We use digital tools for everything now. So we would want to work with as many institutions as possible to educate them, to share ideas with them, to show our challenges, the opportunities that can come out of this.
Member of the governing board for the Cybersecurity Authority, Adelaide Bene Prempe, told the participant that the authority is ready to receive their input on the legislation.
It's important to also say that the Cybersecurity Authority has a very active set of social media handles. So I regularly visit the LinkedIn page, and information is constantly shared, and I know that the very hard-working management is present here with us, so they're taking on board all that you've said. But there are ways of getting information. There are ways of doing our bit in our own little corner to educate and also to share. So it's very good that you're all here, and thank you for your input. It will be reported back to the board and indeed the team, and we continue to work and rely on you all to make the Cybersecurity Authority a dynamic one.
Civil society organizations were drawn from all sectors of the economy to be part of the engagement.
And while that's business, stay tuned. There's more coming up after this break.